No way.
Oh,
I can't even see. Oh, it looks like I got bags.
hi, Karen.
Hey, Makayla, how are you going?
Very well, thank you. So we both wanted to hop on and have a chat about a few, what would you call them? Misconceptions about
Let's be mythbusters today.
Mythbusters about the spinal flow technique and a few things that we get asked frequently or hear, on our socials. So we put together a list of a few questions and we're going to answer them. So I'm going to ask you first. Um, so myth number one, spinal flow is a passive practice.
Wow. Well, it is passive, in the sense that you really aren't expected to do much. Um, but in saying that, it's all about connecting or reconnecting to your body,
Mm.
however you need to do that, whether it's through breath, whether it's through movement, or whether it's through even visualization. Sometimes it's really handy to, when you can see if people are stuck in their head, it's really handy to ask them to visualize with each breath, visualize their breath moving from their brain down to their coccyx or whatever axis that you're down on the sacrum. Visualize the breath going all the way down to there and all the way back, vertebra by vertebra. So it is passive, don't really have to do much. Lie there, enjoy, relax, breathe. But yeah, just reconnecting to your body.
Mm. Yeah, so one thing that I educate my clients on is, so yes, it's a passive practice, but we don't want you to completely leave your body, as in go to sleep, because what I find is that a lot of people don't have that connection with their spine. It's kind of like, they're a head and a body. So what you were saying before, when people are stuck in their head, you know,
Mm,
sometimes, well, a lot of people don't even take 5 minutes during the day to come into their body. So whilst it's relaxing being on the table, certainly as a practitioner, I'm wanting my clients to at least follow my hand, or as they go along and we're building on each session, is starting to discover each vertebra and what each vertebra
mm,
is doing, where it's sitting, how it's moving, and like you were saying, where their breath can travel, or where they can feel more ease and movement, and how is that changing during the session. So there is a lot going on, even though most, like, I've had people, like, on one hand feel like they've been meditating for 3 hours. Then on the other
yeah.
hand, I've had people who say they feel like they've run a marathon because their body has been doing so much during a session.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Another thing I've noticed too, just lately for some weird reason, is when I am touching people's spine, it's like it almost gives them shivers, whether that is a sign of disconnection, like they haven't felt that part of the spine. And I'm talking mainly in the center gateway, the thoracic spine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've found as their sessions progress, and the more that they have, it's like bringing them back to their body, reconnecting to that part of their spine that they haven't felt or wanted to feel maybe. But yeah, just having that connection to their spine. So yeah, that's really interesting. And that's just been lately.
Okay.
Hmm, yeah. What about the myth about how spinal flow is just for back pain? What do you think of that mythbuster?
So, uh, spinal flow can be for back pain. A lot of practitioners, we have clients come in for back pain, sciatica, hip pain, upper, lower back pain. but definitely not. I think there's the misconception because it's about the spine that the spine is to do with the back. But when you actually look at the anatomy of the body and look at the anatomy of the spine, we've got the brain that sits at the top, protected by the skull, by the cranium. And then from the brain, we have the spinal cord, which, comes off the brain, which is protected by the vertebral column. Coming out from that is the nerves. So the nervous system, it's all connected. So while we're working on the spine, we're actually working on the nervous system. So when you're looking at it like that and everything's connected, then people can come to us for lots of different ailments, illnesses, pain, disease. And, whilst as practitioners, we don't diagnose things, when people come in, we're certainly feeling the spine because usually we can find the corresponding part of the spine to that part of the body. So, for example, if someone's got digestive issues, often they will have blockages either in the lower center gateway or the power gateway, and even coming down to the foundation gateway. Now, for people that don't know the gateways, I'm talking about the pelvis, the lumbar region, and the lower thoracic spine. But we can sort of pinpoint actually where a blockage is and why it might be interfering with the process, say, of the digestive system. Headaches is another one. So often people will come in with headaches, and we will often find that they've got blockages up in the upper cervical spine, or what we call the pause gateway. But what I love to keep coming back to with clients is that when you look at our anatomy, we are one. We're not separate components of, muscles or bones or a circulatory system or what, like, it all works together. And that's what the beautiful harmony of the body is, that life force wisdom, the fact that, that the heart beats in a certain way when we're at rest. But, if someone came to the door now and gave me a fright, well, then my heart would beat a different beat because I've had a fright, and then potentially prepare me to run away. But it's symbiotic that, then the blood pumps to my limbs so that I can get ready to run away. It's the focus comes away from the digestive system. So I think that's incredible. And I really try to emphasize that, it's not just about a single part of the body. It's about, being a whole human being. Did you have anything to add to that myth?
Well, I find it mythbuster. I find it really interesting the amount of people, like especially during the initial consultations when they come, and we've got the spine, showing them how all the little nerves go off to all the different cells, tissues, and organs of the body, and how it correlates to the symptoms that they may be experiencing. It's a light bulb moment, because like you said, it's just a body. Well, it's not just a body. It's like the nervous system is the master controller of everything and all the things that it does and all the systems that work. So, yeah. So not just for back pain.
Exactly.
Mm.
So the other myth that seems to be a hard one to crack is that spinal flow is a one-time fix. What do you?
No. Well, as we've seen, even with just one session, people notice change. People can notice changes, they can feel shifts. But spinal flow isn't about just a one fix thing, one fix stop. It's all about consistency. Consistency is the key. We find with clients that come for their regular spinal flow sessions that they're able to achieve more more change, more shifts in a shorter amount of time. I think, well, I believe it's because we're getting to the deeper layers. We're not just, if they're coming once a week, once a fortnight, that's kind of just getting rid of last week's stress or yesterday's pains. If we go hard and intense straight up or consistently, come regularly, we're getting rid of those top layers a lot quicker and we're able to get to the deeper layers that have been hidden for so long. So yeah, spinal flow sessions can be awesome for lasting improvements. But consistency is all about those benefits and addressing any issues that may arise, because as we're peeling off the layers, stuff's going to come to the surface. So you don't want to come for a spinal flow session and bring stuff up and then like, okay, see ya. It's like, no, you just got to keep going. So yeah, I believe it's not a, well, we believe it's not a one session fix thing. Have you got anything else to say on that one?
Um,
Anything you'd like to share?
I think as a society, we are after instant gratification, and
Mm,
it's really difficult to be patient about anything, because look at our consumerism now, and the instant way that we even get news and the instant communication with people, and even financially now, like we don't ever have to wait for a lot if you don't want to. With there's things like Afterpay and like Zip Pay and lots of
mm,
different, that people can just buy now, kind of pay later. There's very little that you have to do, that you have to be patient with. But I think one of the best ways I can think of it is looking after your health generally.
yeah.
If you want to be a fit, healthy person, then you have to do something consistently. So, whether it's walking or swimming or yoga or Pilates or go to the gym, whatever it is, you can't just do it once. The human
Mm,
body doesn't actually work like that. There's a book that I read a long time ago. What's it called? I wish I could remember the name. It'll come to me. Malcolm Gladwell, I think his name is. And he talks about, so the science behind, if you want to be the best at something, like the best at the top of your industry or your sport, you have to do 10,000 hours of practice to be the best at that. So, I don't
mm,
have a quantifiable number of how many spinal flow sessions a person would have to have, because the fact of the matter is we're all made up. We have all different genetic makeup, a different biological
mm.
makeup, but we all have different experiences as we come through our lives. And the process of whether or not we store stress or release it isn't black and white.
Mm,
An experience that I had as a child that, was really upsetting to me. You might have had exactly the same experience, but for whatever reason, your system was able to cope with it. So, yeah, there's so much. And the other thing is that we live in a world that is really difficult for human beings. Like, it's a stressful world. It is almost impossible to avoid stress. And not only are we looking at like those deeper layers that you were talking about, trying to get to those, but it's also a matter of making sure that the stress that you're putting in isn't outweighing the stress that we're actually taking out before we even
yeah.
get to those deeper
Mm,
layers. Yeah. I mean, I just see it as spinal flow's preventative health is the way that I see it. So, if you're looking at longevity of keeping stress out of your body, then it's something that is going to help with, like the master controller, and keep your body healthy.
Mm. Yeah. I do remind my clients, and I because I mentioned it in my initial consultations too. It's like a how you said it's like a team effort, like we can only do what we can do for them, which is spinal flow. So it's up to them. They have to be accountable to look at ways that they can either reduce or eliminate the amount of stress or the type of stress that they're putting into their body. Yeah, so it kind of goes along with what you just said about that. So yeah,
Yeah.
very cool.
Um, so then we had we had a couple more, but we might just talk about one last one
What
about
do you think about spinal flow being woo woo or not based on science?
okay. Well, spinal flows come from its roots are in chiropractic, and the science of chiropractic is that it's working on the nervous system, and that we've already spoken about that a little bit, that the brain and the nervous system are the master controllers of the body. And if there is a subluxation, chiropractors call it, then there's going to be an interference in the communication from the brain through the spinal cord, through the nervous system, that communication highway, there's going to be interference in there. So as practitioners, as spinal flow practitioners, we call that a blockage. But basically the science of spinal flow is that human beings have a nervous system, and that when there's blockages in there, there's interference, there's problems. That's when we start looking at pain, disease, and illness occurring.
Mm, yeah. So it's about tapping into the body's innate wisdom, the life force energy, to bring it through and help release those blockages.
Yeah.
So some people call it woo woo, some people call it life force energy.
Yeah, that's it. And I
Yeah.
guess, there is that element of yes, where it's, I guess part of it is energy healing, and some people would call that woo-woo. But when you see the results that we get, it's pretty incredible. Just another myth that frequently comes up is that spinal flow is like a chiropractic adjustment. So again, like whilst we're based on, our roots are in chiropractic, what we do, it comes back to tonal chiropractic. It could be called a form of that, or network spinal. I think lots of people are familiar with that. But what we do in terms of working on access points, working with the membranes that surround the nervous system, is quite different, but it's very gentle. There's no jarring or anything like that. And yeah, it's not an adjustment. It's a hold to bring that life force energy through the person's system. We're using the body's wisdom to find the blockages, to increase the flow, rather than us telling the body actually what to do or where to go. We focus on ease. We don't focus on the blockage. We're focusing on bringing.
Increasing the energies.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Yay. Well, I'm glad we busted some myths here this morning.
That's it. All right. Thanks. We'll do another live soon.
Thanks, Makayla.
Thanks, Karen. Bye.